Underwood Xtreme Defender 38 Special 110 grain plus P. Retesting this ammunition. I tested this ammunition last winter and my velocities were very low. What I was getting for velocity was out of that 4-inch Smith & Wesson, I was only getting 1,139 feet per second, and it is rated at 1,300 feet per second. So a lot less than rate of velocity. And apparently somebody had shared my video with Underwood, and we got back and forth with a email conversation. A lot of interesting information came up. Part of it had to do with the 9mm duds, and apparently what's going on is Ruger's pistol wasn't set up for something that high end, something along those lines, because they had the same issues. Long story short, it's not a big issue for them. However, they were very much disappointed by what I was getting with the 38 Special plus P, so they offered to send me a new box of ammunition with a new lot of ammunition. I'm assuming they tweaked that, but they said that they were getting out of a 4-inch Smith & Wesson Model 67 was 1182, 3-inch SP101, 1257 feet per second, 1.9-inch Bodyguard, 1158 feet per second, and 4.5-inch Ruger Blackhawk, 1373 feet per second. So they wanted me to retest this ammunition and see what I get. They're very interested in see if I get closer to that 1300 feet per second. I'm going to test it out of the 4-inch barrel and the 2-inch Taurus. And I'm going to set the bar kind of high. I'm going to compare this ammunition for damage, what it does, to something more classic. And this is the best performing classic ammunition I have. 38 Special plus P, 125 grain HTP. Lots of exposed lead there. That's completely old school in comparison to this new all copper design. So I'm going to fire this round right here out of the 4-inch barrel, see what we get for damage to my meat target and what kind of energy numbers we get, and then we'll see how it compares to the Xtreme Defender out of both barrel lengths. So as always, we're going to go through the chronograph, we're going to see what kind of velocity and energy we're getting and what kind of accuracy at the same time, and then we're going to go through the Juggernaut box, which contains a pack of bologna covered by 4 layers of denim, followed by 3/8-inch particle board and then water jugs to catch the projectile. So let's get started with the test. Alright, first up I'm going to test the velocity and accuracy of the Remington HTP out of the 4-inch barrel and see what we're getting. $1,054, 1,003, 990, 981, 1008. So that's a good baseline to compare the Underwood Xtreme Defender to. We'll see what kind of accuracy and velocity we're getting out of the 4-inch barrel and the 2-inch barrel. Alright, Underwood Xtreme Defender, 100 grain plus P. We'll see what we get to the 4-inch barrel. $12.48, $12.41, $12.79, $12.80, $12.97, very close to the rated velocity now. Now let's see what we get to the 2-inch barrel. Alright, Taurus 605, we'll see what we get with this. I don't think that one read it. Try to back up a little bit. Not getting a read. Sometimes what happens is the powder will go through and it'll read that instead, or it won't read at all. I'm going to back it up just a little bit, and then I'm going to go single action and see if I can get a read on this. I'll go a little bit closer. We're getting errors on this. That happens a lot with these copper bullets that are too shiny. I'm not getting a read. I'm going to turn the lights on the chronograph, see if I can get a read. If I can't, I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes we get these error markers when the lighting condition isn't quite right. The light's off. I'm going to run 2 rounds of Remington HTP, see if that picks that up, and then I'll run the Xtreme Defender a couple rounds behind that. And I'm not getting reads with this. I have absolutely no idea what to tell you. I have never had this issue quite like this before. It works for the 4-inch barrel, but it doesn't work for the 2-inch barrel. Let's pull this out here. Let's try the 4-inch barrel with some HTP. Use it out of that. Try another HTP through the 2-inch barrel. Okay, now I got a read on that. Now we're going to switch over to the Xtreme Defenders. No read. I'll back up a ways. No read. That is interesting. It's frustrating to say the least. I cannot get a chronograph reading whatsoever out of this barrel with that round. I have no idea why that is. It's just very strange to say the least. Alright, I'm going to try 2 more rounds. See if we can get a chronograph reading with this ammunition. Go real close. No read. Back it up. No read. I'm just going to run up to the Juggernaut box. We got a baseline of velocity, what we're getting on the 4-inch barrel. So judging out of this, it would be just a little bit less. We'll just have to guess and say 100 feet per second less, although I cannot confirm that. And we'll see how these compare compared to the HTP with more of a classic lead hollow point. So let's get started with that part of the test. Alright, first up, we're going to get that baseline through the 4-inch barrel with the Remington HTP. See what kind of damage it does to the baloney and water jugs. And then we'll compare the Xtreme Defender rounds to that. So here we are through the 4-inch barrel Remington HTP. And here we are right through the particle board and through the baloney. Decent damage for a 38 special. That's typically what we see with a lot of 38 specials and 9mm. Let's see what we got in water jugs. First jug, a lot of damage. That's very good for a 38. Jug 2, there's a mark out the back of jug 2, and just a tiny amount of damage in the beginning of jug 3, not enough to even make it leak. So the bullet is in jug 2. And here we are, we got full mushrooming. We did not get jacket separation. This is one of the ideal loads for 38 special. It's just been one of the best I've ever tested. You put this bullet in a 357 Magnum platform, it's too much. Jacket separation, fragmentation, but 38 special at about that 1,000 feet per second with this bullet, really, really good. So that's why I wanted to use it to set that baseline kind of high. Now let's try the Xtreme Defender and see how that compares. Alright, Underwood Xtreme Defender, 100 grain plus P 38 special. We'll see what we get through the baloney pack and into water jugs with the 4-inch barrel. First jug has a lot of damage. I got splashed back on pretty hard. I've never seen anything quite like this before. There's like fragmentations of baloney and particle board mixed. And this is different than normal too. The whole baloney pack didn't explode, but this hole is just mushier. It is strange. It did something to the meat that we're not seeing it do. It ground it more or something like that. I don't know how to explain it. It's interesting. Hole out the particle board. There's 2 holes, it almost looks like. Almost like maybe it's starting to tumble. In the first jug, very good damage. The impact is up here on the label. And it looks like the impact on jug 2 is a little bit lower. So that tumbling is happening. Hole at the back of jug 2 is definitely tumbling down. Jug 3, the impact is low, as well as the exit on Jug 3. So we've hit Jug 4. And it appears that we caught the projectile in Jug 4 at the bottom. And to be expected, we're not seeing any change to the projectile. It looks the same as it did when it was originally fired. But what looks like is happening is these little, I don't know what you call them, flutes, are hitting that baloney and it's sending it tumbling a little bit. The base of the bullet is a little bit deformed, so we're impacting while tumbling, which, considering we got into the 4th jug, that's pretty good penetration considering we were tumbling the entire time. That is very impressive. Now let's see if the 2-inch barrel can do the same thing. Alright, here's the Xtreme Defender in the 2-inch barrel. We will see if we get it doing the same thing as we got in the 4-inch barrel. And I got wet like the 4-inch barrel. Splashed back pretty hard. I'm going to wash that baloney off, but first jug, very similar to the 4-inch barrel, but just a little tiny bit less damage. And it does look like we are kind of tumbling a little bit. I can actually see the bullet in the box. So tumble out the side. But here's jug 2. I'm washing off this baloney. And it looks exactly the same. Here's the particle board impact. It looks like it's tumbling out the back. Pretty similar. And the same thing we got here. It's changing it. It's turning it to mush in a different way than what the traditional round is doing. That's just so very interesting that it's doing that like that. 1, 2, we're in jug 3, and we went off the side of jug 3. The impact is drifting a little bit to the left, and it went out the 3rd jug to the side, and I can see the projectile in the box. So here we are. The projectile base is not bent up as much, and we tumbled out the side, so it looks like the 4-inch barrel is definitely pushing it faster. It was going in further, straighter. This one went off course a little bit with the 2-inch barrel, but the damage to the baloney in the water jugs is pretty similar, but just, you know, maybe 20% less than what we were seeing with the 4-inch barrel. So overall, how's this ammunition perform? It seems to perform real well. We're getting really good damage. I was not able to get a chronograph reading, which is disappointing with the 2-inch barrel. I don't understand that whatsoever, because it's been a very reliable chronograph with 90% of the ammunition I test. But I have had issues with Golden Saber. There's a lot of brass in that, which I mean, I guess it's possible this is reading it the same way as it's reflecting off the brass on the Golden Sabers. I don't understand that. It's traditional ammunition, it reads just fine, but it's not picking it up in the 2-inch barrel. And the only thing I can think of is just the way the powder is. There might be powder going through the chronograph bars and it's reading the powder, or the powder is, that's why we see like 80 feet per second. That's how fast the powder is burning. Or there's a certain amount of powder that's kind of blocking the shadow of the projectile. So sometimes we get too shiny of a bullet, and we get the powder that's burns in a specific way that it's shadowing the chronograph bars. And we see that with the Golden Saber, and we see that today with this and the 2-inch barrel. So I'm guessing that with the 4-inch barrel, it's burning up that powder more efficiently. And then it's just going over the bars and reading it. But with the 2-inch barrel, we're probably getting the powder outside of the muzzle a little bit more, and it's blocking the sensor. That's the only thing I can guess with that. But overall, I'd say it performs adequately. It's hard to judge whether this is greater than or less than traditional loads, because the way I test ammunition is to see how much it expands, to see what kind of damage we get. I can't judge the expansion because we got none, but the damage looks pretty on par with something else. Can I say it's better than traditional or worse than traditional? No, I really can't. But it does seem to perform, and like what a lot of people would say, I wouldn't want to get shot with it to find out. I think it would do some pretty devastating damage, especially sideways. If we're tumbling, that's the size that we really need to compare expansion to. Is it wider, longer than what an expanded hollow point is? Because if it's tumbling, that's going to produce as big a hole as an expanded hollow point. So that's what you get today with the Xtreme Defender 38 Special. It's not bad ammo. but I can't necessarily say it's great ammo either, but it does seem to work and do some great damage to the target. So that's what you're getting today with the 100 grain plus P 38 Special Underwood Xtreme Defender. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.